And I love in your book how you told your congregation that you don't have faith. Can you say that part real quick? Why you don't have faith in God?
Sure. So for your audience, I'm an ordained clergy person, and I served congregational churches in New England for quite a number of years, decades. And the day I came back from my death, the moment I came back, all faith was erased, all belief was erased. Came back with no belief in culture or religion or in God. Because to me, God is not a thing to be believed in. I know God is real. I went ice climbing in Banff Provincial Park and snow caving since I was a Boy Scout, mountain climbing, rock climbing, first time ice climbing. We went up a world famous climb, maybe 500 feet, 3 pitches up, and made a mistake, succumbed to the final stages of hypothermia. My what's called tunnel vision, peripheral vision, began to fill in with black and a circle, and faded to black very rapidly to out. And I was in darkness, but unlike falling asleep, I maintained my consciousness. It wasn't just light, it was like an amorphous intelligence said to me without language, I'm taking you. And I resisted because I didn't know what was going on. Can't say I was frightened, but I was strongly resistant. This thing rushed right to me and communicated, I'm taking you, and plucked me right out of myself and carried me up through with a proverbial tunnel, but the entity, the angel, vanished, and I was left alone as what I describe as an orb of consciousness that's 10,000 times bigger than my body. And I was completely content. My first reaction was, this is me. Now I remember. How did I ever think I was that thing? This is who I am. And I could see in every direction at once, and there was a inside of and separate from, but part of this greater eternity that I was in, it was all life of all the universe and all the universes and all life there ever was and will be. And it flowed into me. And I tell this like in a sequence, but this is a place of timelessness, which means all time and no time, all time in one space and no time whatsoever. So it's really hard to describe it. I choose to describe it sequentially. It called my name, but not Peter. It called the name of my soul, that in which I could hear the creation of my being from aeons ago. I could see the long tail of my existence, of my soul, which was not Peter. And I could see the very creation of myself as a photon that was wave and particle, as part of the light itself, but separate and the same as, but distinct from. And I could see that I had other lives, but I couldn't see what they were. But I also knew that they weren't me, that the real me was the soul that contained them. They were little tiny like toothpicks stuck inside this much larger, everlasting soul. Then showed me all of the pain that I'd given away in my entire life from the point of view, life review. But mine, which is different than others, mine was I suffered all the pain I gave away in my entire life. From the voice was saying inside me without sound, I love you. I've always known you. I've always known these things about you. I've known you since you were created. I've known the long tail of your soul. I know what you were like to be a human being in this life. I love you as you are. I made you. I've always known you. I've always loved you. And I was going through this suffering of all the suffering I gave away, but I was also being, and I call it my own hell. I created my own hell, also judged myself as shameful, not because of what I had done, because I did not need. It wasn't like they were bad. It was like, you don't need them, and here's how to get rid of them. And once they were gone, I was filled with this combination of truth, joy, knowledge, bliss, understanding, compassion, hope, adoration, awe, paradise. The list is long, but they weren't all separate things. They're all one thing. And the one word that I would use is to encapsulate it all, 2 words, beauty and love. I was still separate, okay? I was, as Genesis says, like I was an image of the divine. I wasn't the totality of the divine, but I was definitely like the divine. I was an image of it, like a subgroup of it, of the same substance, but yet less than. I could see all of Earth all at once, all mountains, rivers, streams, oceans, fish, birds and animals and trees and plants and everything. But in particular, I could see human beings. And the human beings were 7 billion of us, and everyone was covered by a singular veil. The veil kind of trailed over everything in the world, and the human beings couldn't see outside the veil. And the voice said to me, in the way that I love you now, now you know I've always loved you and will love you. And this love is, I can't tell you how rich it is. It's, any words utterly fail. It's all of the universes all put together into one black hole, like crushed out. That's how much, and that's not even enough. And no one could see it on Earth. They were all going about their daily lives, being utterly beloved, in particular by the divine, just like me, just like I knew that I was, because I was healed and well and without suffering. I didn't have a body to suffer. I didn't have any suffering at all. And the voice said, in the way that I love you now, I've always loved you, and I love everyone. So I said, can I come back here? If I go back to life, can I come back here? And the voice said, yes, but we want you to stay, but you can go back. And I said, well, I can go back and help my parents. They won't suffer as much. I choose to live my life. And the voice said, you won't live your life, and send me back.
And I love in your book how you told your congregation that you don't have faith. Can you say that part real quick? Why you don't have faith in God?
Sure. So for your audience, I'm an ordained clergy person, and I served congregational churches in New England for quite a number of years, decades. And the day I came back from my death, the moment I came back, all faith was erased, all belief was erased. Came back with no belief in culture or religion or in God. Because to me, God is not a thing to be believed in. I know God is real. I know where I'm from. I know where I'm going. But more importantly, I know that I'm known by the knower of all. And I can't ever turn away from that. It's not something that ever shuts off. In addition to having no belief and no faith, I don't have any doubt. I am doubtless and completely unafraid of death, because I know where I'm going.
Oh, I love in your book you say that it's like you don't believe in trees and birds, like they exist.
Right, exactly. So I don't have to believe that this glass exists and that water exists. We take it for granted. We know it exists. That was the same way, a similar way to which the divine presented itself as self-evidently so. I longed to go back so much that I immediately regretted my decision.
Wow.
By the time I started having the mental capacity to consider what I had done and the choice I had made, I made a huge mistake coming back. All I wanted to do was go home. It's like living in a two-dimensional black and white world here,
right? Compared
to multicolor, multisensory VR immersion there. Once you've been in that place, coming here, as beautiful as it is, and I live in an extraordinarily beautiful place on purpose, so that I can get as close to beauty as I possibly can. But even that, it's just like, oh well, that's really pretty, but not the same as ultimate divine beauty. All my soul wanted was to be back in the oneness of being. And now I am in this broken apart place where all the love and the beauty and the truth and the hope and the joy, or it's all fragmented here. But so is everything else. It's not just those things. Everything is fragmented here. Everything is not in union with the divine. The light pervades all things at all times, but it's still fractured here. I live in a fractured body in a fractured world, and all I wanted was wholeness and oneness, which I know I will have again, because it was promised to me.